I spent years mocking men who were afraid of commitment. I had a tattoo that said gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, and thought it was empowering. I celebrated when my friends stayed single, convinced we were winning some cultural war against the patriarchy. My name is Maya, and I'm 27 years old. This is the story of how I discovered that men aren't afraid of marriage, they're afraid of what marriage has become. And how I realized that maybe, just maybe, they have every reason to be. This is my confession. This is what happens when you finally stop and listen. I had everything figured out at 27. Postgraduate degree in gender studies, a group chat full of successful single women, and a social media presence built on calling out male inadequacy. My friend group was a perfect echo chamber. Sarah, the marketing director who'd been single for 3 years. Emily, who just spent $15,000 freezing her eggs. Jessica, dating a guy who refused to delete his dating apps. And me, posting things like marriage is the biggest scam men convinced women to buy into and getting dozens of likes every time. We'd meet for brunch every weekend, bottomless mimosas in hand, dissecting why men today refused to grow up. The consensus was always the same: men were emotionally stunted, afraid of strong women, too immature to handle real commitment. They want all the benefits of marriage without giving anything back, I'd say, and everyone would nod sagely, like I'd just discovered gravity. At work, I noticed a pattern. 3 women in my department had been with their boyfriends for over 5 years. 2 lived with their partners. No rings. No wedding dates. Just excuses. He says we don't need paper to prove love, one would say. He's not ready financially, another would explain. We want to travel first, the third would insist. Sarah had her own story. She'd given her boyfriend an ultimatum: marriage by 30 or she was done. He ghosted her the next week. We rallied around her, convinced she'd dodged a bullet, that he was just another man-child afraid of adulting. But something nagged at me. Why were so many men suddenly checking out? Why were proposal rates plummeting? Why were good men, educated, employed, emotionally available men, refusing to get down on one knee? I told myself it was because they were selfish. Because they wanted bangmaids without the commitment. Because the patriarchy had conditioned them to fear powerful women. I had no idea I was about to discover the real answer. It started with TikTok. I was doom-scrolling one night when a video popped up, some guy in his car ranting about marriage. Why would a man get married today, he said, looking directly at the camera. So you can take half his stuff when you're not happy anymore? So you can destroy his relationship with his kids when it doesn't work out? I rolled my eyes. Classic incel rhetoric. I kept scrolling. But the algorithm had learned something about me. Another video appeared. A different man, calmer, more articulate. Men lose their kids, their money, and their sanity in family court, he explained. And you wonder why we're not lining up to sign that contract? I wanted to scroll past. But I didn't. Something made me watch. Then another. And another. Men sharing their divorce stories. Their custody battles. Their experiences with alimony and child support and lawyers and courts that seemed designed to punish them for trying. I told myself these were isolated cases. Bitter men who'd made bad choices. Men who were probably terrible husbands to begin with. But there were so many of them. That night, I made a mistake. I went to Reddit. Found a thread on r/askmen, why aren't you interested in marriage? The top comment had thousands of upvotes. My dad paid alimony for 20 years to a woman who cheated on him. I watched him work 2 jobs while she lived in his house with her new boyfriend. No thanks. The replies were worse. Got divorced after being the breadwinner for 12 years. She took the house and the dog. I see my kids every other weekend. Never again. I wanted to marry her. She said I needed to make 6 figures first. I was 24 and working my way up. She's still single at 36, waiting for a man who doesn't exist. I felt something shift inside me. Something uncomfortable. Something that felt dangerously close to understanding. I did something impulsive. I texted my ex-boyfriend, the one from 2 years ago who'd always dodged the marriage conversation. Random question, I typed. Did you ever actually want to get married? Just curious, lol. He responded 10 minutes later. I could tell he'd been thinking about how to answer. Yeah, he wrote. But every girl I dated treated marriage like a prize they hand out when a guy proves himself worthy. Like I had to earn the right to commit. I just stopped trying. I showed the text to my group chat, expecting validation. He basically admitted men don't want marriage because they can't control women anymore, I said. Everyone agreed. Men wanted free labor, sex, cooking, cleaning, emotional support, without having to offer security in return. But I couldn't stop thinking about his words. Every girl I dated treated marriage like a prize. Had I done that? Had I made him feel like he needed to earn me? I remembered our relationship now with new eyes. How I'd constantly tested him. How I'd made him feel like his software engineering job wasn't ambitious enough. How I'd told him he needed to read more feminist theory, make more money, be more emotionally available, have better politics. How I'd treated him like a project instead of a partner. That night, I went back to Google. Typed in, do men benefit from marriage? The first article said men in healthy marriages live longer and earn more. I felt smug. See? They need us. But the second article told a different story. When marriages end, men lose custody 80% of the time. Male suicide rates spike after divorce. Most divorced men never remarry, not because they can't, but because they won't risk it again. I sent the articles to my group chat with a dismissive comment, well, they should have been better husbands then, lol. Nobody replied. The next day, I ran into Derek in the office kitchen. He was 35, divorced, quiet. I'd never really talked to him beyond pleasantries. Ever think about getting married again? I asked casually, stirring my coffee. He laughed, not bitterly, just wearily. Only if I get a prenup, full therapy clearance, and a lawyer on retainer. Joking. But not really. I must have looked curious because he continued. My wife cheated on me with a coworker, he said, voice flat. I found out, filed for divorce. Court told me she was accustomed to a certain lifestyle and it was my responsibility to maintain it. I'm paying spousal support to the woman who destroyed our marriage. She kept the condo. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment. I haven't dated in 4 years because I don't trust myself to choose better next time. I felt my face get hot. Not all women are like that, I said automatically. He nodded slowly. Enough are. I left the kitchen without finishing my coffee. That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened Reddit again, found a thread titled, If marriage was a job posting for men, would anyone apply? The top comment laid it out like a resume. Requirements, 40 years of loyalty. Full financial support for family. Emotional labor on demand. No guarantee of intimacy. No guarantee of respect. No exit plan without penalties. Benefits, happy wife, happy life. Thousands of men had upvoted it. Thousands more had commented with their own additions. Don't forget, if the employer decides to terminate the contract, you still owe half your assets and future earnings. And you might lose access to your children depending on the employer's mood. I wanted to be angry. Wanted to dismiss it as male. I called Emily the next night. She'd been with her boyfriend for 6 years, longer than anyone else I knew. Why do you think he hasn't proposed? I asked her directly. There was a long pause. I asked him that last year, she said quietly. He told me he doesn't believe in marriage anymore. Said he's watched too many men lose everything. Said if we ever broke up, he'd rather walk away clean. How did that make you feel? I asked. Like I'm being punished for what other women did, she whispered. Like I'm paying for someone else's sins. We sat in silence on FaceTime. I tried to say something empowering, something about how marriage is outdated anyway, how we don't need men to validate us. But it sounded hollow. Even to me. After we hung up, I went back to TikTok. The algorithm was really working now. Every third video was about marriage, divorce, family court, custody battles. One man spoke directly to camera, "We watched our dads get destroyed. We watched our uncles pay for kids they never see. We watched you post divorced and thriving selfies with champagne while our fathers cried in studio apartments. And you wonder why we're not proposing?" Another, "You wanted equality, and we gave it to you. Now you're mad because we're treating marriage like the legal contract it is instead of like a romantic fairy tale. You can't have both." I should have been angry. Should have called it misogyny. Should have posted a takedown. Instead, I just felt cold. I decided to confront it head-on. Invited the girls over for wine night. Opened with a question, "Why do you think men are so scared of marriage now?" Sarah rolled her eyes. "Because it means actually stepping up, and men hate accountability." Jessica nodded. "They know they can get sex, love, domestic labor without putting a ring on it. Why buy the cow when the milk is free?" I took a breath. But what if they're just over it? What if they've seen too much to risk it anymore? Everyone froze. Then we laughed it off. No way. Men need women. They just don't know it yet. But I'd started seeing things I couldn't unsee. I'd met someone on Hinge, 31, marketing executive, attractive. First few dates were great. He paid, complimented me, listened. Then I brought up the future. "I'm not looking to waste time if someone's not husband material," I said lightly. He laughed, not meanly, just tiredly. "I've seen what marriage does to guys. You give everything and still get blamed when she's unhappy." "Maybe they picked the wrong women," I said. "Or maybe the system's broken," he replied. The date ended cold. I texted him 2 days later. No response. The group chat said it was classic fear of strong women. But I wasn't sure anymore. I started noticing the women who were getting engaged. The ones posting ring selfies, planning weddings, getting their fairy tale endings. They were different from us. Quieter. Softer. They didn't post about toxic masculinity or emotional labor. They didn't call their boyfriends king ironically. They didn't treat relationships like a constant test. They just supported their men. I tried not to judge them. Tried to tell myself they'd internalized their oppression, that they were settling for less. But they looked happy. Really happy. Then I saw it. A post from my ex, the one who didn't believe in marriage. He was engaged. I stared at the photo. Her hand with a simple ring. Both of them smiling. Caption, "Can't wait to spend forever with you." She was blonde, pretty in an understated way. I clicked on her profile. Her posts were full of couple photos with captions like "his piece," "not his project," and "building a life, not just an aesthetic." I messaged him before I could stop myself. "Thought you didn't want marriage." He responded an hour later. "I didn't. Until someone made it feel safe." Safe. That word echoed in my head for days. What did safe mean? Safe from judgment? Safe from constant criticism? Safe from being treated like he was never enough? He proposed to her after less than a year. I'd spent 2 years with him, lecturing him about toxic masculinity, telling him he needed to deconstruct his privilege, making him feel small for having ordinary dreams. I blamed him. Blamed her. Blamed the patriarchy for conditioning men to want docile women. But deep down, I knew. I went to a wedding the next weekend. My cousin's. The groom looked terrified during the ceremony. At the reception, the bride made a joke in her speech about finally trapping him. Everyone laughed. The groom smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I drove home in silence. I started researching. Really researching. Not feminist blogs or empowerment podcasts, but actual data. Divorce rates, 50%. In some places, higher. Custody outcomes, mothers get primary custody 82% of the time. Alimony and child support, men pay 97% of all alimony awarded. Suicide rates post-divorce, men are 9 times more likely to die by suicide after divorce than women. Dating after divorce, 76% of divorced women remarry. Only 64% of men do. And that number was dropping every year. I found forums where divorced fathers talked about seeing their kids every other weekend. About paying thousands monthly to ex-wives while living in studio apartments. About courts that assumed mothers were better parents by default. I did everything right, one man wrote. Worked hard, came home every night, coached my kids' soccer teams. She had an affair. I still lost primary custody. The judge said disrupting the children's routine would be harmful. Their routine was having a mother who cheated. I found statistics on false allegations in custody battles. On weaponized claims of abuse. On men whose reputations were destroyed by accusations that were later proven false, but by then it was too late. I wasn't reading fringe sites. These were mainstream news articles, academic studies, court records. And I realized, men weren't opting out because they were immature. They were opting out because they'd done the math and decided the risk wasn't worth the reward. I posted a tweet without really thinking, men will spend 5 years living with you, sharing everything, but won't propose. They want wives without being husbands. It went mildly viral. Women agreed enthusiastically. Men replied with their stories. I married her after 6 years together. 1 year in, she quit her job and called me ungrateful when I asked her to help with bills. Divorced 2 years later. She got spousal support. Marriage means one argument away from losing your house, your kids, and half your future earnings. And women wonder why we're not rushing to the altar. I kept scrolling. More stories. More statistics. More men saying the same thing. I wanted marriage until I saw what it cost. I thought about my group chat. About Sarah, Emily, Jessica, and me. All single. All accomplished. All wondering where the good men went. They didn't go anywhere. They just stopped playing a game where the rules were rigged against them. I thought about how we talked about men. How we treated relationships like negotiations where we held all the cards. How we demanded they be perfect while we offered them nothing but criticism and contingency. I thought about my tattoo, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. I'd gotten it ironically. But was it really ironic? Or was it exactly who I'd become? I posted one more tweet, maybe men aren't afraid of commitment. Maybe they're just done being punished for trying. My mentions exploded. Women called me a traitor, a pick-me, a handmaiden to the patriarchy. But I also got messages from men. Dozens of them. Thanking me for finally listening. Finally seeing. I wanted to marry my girlfriend, one wrote. But she spent 3 years telling me I wasn't ambitious enough, wasn't feminist enough, wasn't evolved enough. I realized I'd never be enough. So I left. She's still single, still posting about how men can't handle strong women. I'm engaged to someone who actually likes me. I'm 27. Still single. Still trying to unlearn everything I thought I knew. I took down my tweet about marriage being a scam. Not because I was pressured, but because I realized it was a lie I told myself to feel better about being alone. My group chat is quieter now. Emily broke up with her boyfriend, she wanted marriage, he wanted safety. Sarah's still single, still bitter. Jessica's guy finally deleted Hinge, but she's already looking for the next red flag. I'm in therapy, working through why I sabotaged good relationships. Why I treated men like projects instead of people. Why I confused strength with cruelty and boundaries with walls. I've started noticing which women get chosen for marriage. They're not weak. They're not doormats. They're just kind. They see their partners as teammates, not opponents. They build up instead of tearing down. And I've started listening to men. Really listening. Not waiting for my turn to lecture, not looking for signs of toxicity, just hearing what they're actually saying. They're saying, "We're tired. We watched marriage destroy our fathers. We've seen the statistics. We've heard the stories. And we're deciding it's not worth the risk." That's not immaturity. That's self-preservation. Maybe the revolution we needed wasn't women rejecting men. Maybe it was women learning to partner with them instead of against them. Maybe marriage rates are collapsing not because men are afraid of commitment, but because we made commitment terrifying. I don't know if I'll ever get married now. I don't know if I've already sabotaged my chances with my attitudes, my posts, my tattoo that says everything about who I was and nothing about who I want to be. But I know this: men aren't the enemy. The system that pits us against each other is. And until we fix that, until we make marriage safe for everyone involved, men are going to keep walking away. They're not scared of strong women. They're scared of strong women who treat marriage like a weapon. And honestly, I don't blame them anymore. Have you noticed the marriage crisis in your own life? Have you seen good men opt out? Let me know in the comments. And if this resonated with you, subscribe for more honest conversations about what's really happening between men and women today.